There's something different about Virgo women, something people sense but rarely understand. It's the way they move through life with intention, the way they seem to know right from wrong without being taught, the way they try so hard to do the right thing, to make the best decision, to be a good person, even when no one is watching. But behind that quiet strength is a story most people never see, a private world of overthinking, self doubt, invisible responsibilities, and emotional labor that they carry without recognition. A world where they're misunderstood, misinterpreted, or taken for granted, not because they lacked effort, but because they cared too much and thought too deeply. Today, we're diving deep, not into the stereotypes, not into the cliches, but into the real truth about Virgo women, the inner compass they're born with, the evolution they undergo, and the moral bravery they grow into over time. If you've ever loved a Virgo woman, are a Virgo woman, or wanted to understand one, this is the video that finally reveals what's really going on beneath that calm, composed surface. Chapter 1: The Inner Compass: Why Virgo Women Instinctively Know Right from Wrong. There's something about a Virgo woman that feels settled, not loud, not righteous, just certain. She doesn't announce her values, she doesn't argue for them, she simply moves through the world as if she already knows where the line is and has no intention of crossing it. People mistake this for judgment or control or quiet superiority, but that's not what it is. What guides her is an ego. It's an inner compass that never stops turning. Before she speaks, something checks in. Before she acts, something weighs the outcome. Before she chooses, she feels the consequence, not hypothetically, but viscerally. A Virgo woman doesn't just think about what can be done, she feels what should be done. And once she knows, there's no unknowing it. This is why she can't move recklessly through life, why cutting corners leaves a bad taste in her mouth, why betrayal, even when justified, still feels like a wound to her own body. Her conscience is not passive, it's awake, observant, constant. But this gift comes with a cost. When she missteps, even unintentionally, the weight is heavy. She revisits the moment in silence, replays her words, re examines her tone, wonders where she could have chosen better. Not because she wants to be flawless, but because she feels responsible for the impact she leaves behind. That's the part most people miss. Virgo women aren't chasing perfection. They're chasing alignment. They want their actions to match their inner truth. They want to live in a way that doesn't violate something sacred inside them. And once you understand that, why they're careful, why they're reserved, why they carry themselves with such quiet discipline, you stop seeing them as rigid and start seeing them for what they are: women who live under an inner law that never looks away. Chapter 2: The Weight of Knowing Too Much. A Virgo woman doesn't overthink because she wants to. She overthinks because her mind never fully powers down. While others move on instinct, she scans. While others decide and adjust later, she anticipates. Not anxiously, instinctively. Her mind is always a few steps ahead, mapping outcomes before they arrive. What could go wrong? What might be misunderstood? What small detail, if ignored, could unravel everything later? This is why doing it right matters to her, not because she craves control, but because disorder feels dangerous. Chaos isn't exciting to her, it's loud, unpredictable, costly. Preparation, on the other hand, feels like safety, like peace earned through foresight. Every choice she makes carries layers most people never see. She weighs the emotional impact, the practical consequence, the moral cost. By the time she acts, she's already lived the outcome in her mind, and that creates pressure: the pressure to choose correctly, to not overlook what others miss, to make sure nothing collapses because she failed to notice a crack. She rarely says this out loud, but there's a quiet fear beneath it all: the fear of being responsible for something going wrong, disappointing someone, of letting a detail slip through, of being the reason harm happens. So she stays alert. The irony is, the world calls this overthinking. Yet she's the one people rely on when things fall apart. The one who catches the flaw no one else saw coming, the one whose caution suddenly makes sense when it's too late to undo the damage. That's the burden, knowing you have to be careful because others won't be. Still, her overthinking serves a purpose. It keeps her from reckless choices, from impulsive mistakes, from walking blindly into situations that will cost her later. Her need for things to be right isn't rigidity, it's protection for herself, for others, for the future she's quietly trying to hold together. And while it exhausts her more than she admits, it's also why people trust her without fully knowing why. Because when a Virgo woman moves carefully, it's not fear guiding her, it's foresight. Chapter 3: When Care is Mistaken for Coldness. A Virgo woman rarely moves with careless intent. In fact, most of what she does is motivated by care, quiet, deliberate, and thought through long before it ever reaches the surface. But this is where she's often misunderstood. Her words are precise, her tone is measured, her logic is clear, and somehow that clarity gets mistaken for distance. What others hear as bluntness is usually restraint. What they interpret as judgment is often prevention, an attempt to stop something from going wrong before it does. She doesn't speak to criticize, she speaks to correct a course. But the world doesn't always recognize care when it isn't wrapped in softness. A Virgo woman rarely speaks without weighing her words first. She considers timing, impact, meaning. She chooses usefulness over emotional performance. And because she isn't dramatic in her delivery, people assume she's being harsh. They miss the compassion beneath the composure. They forget that she wouldn't bother offering insight at all if she didn't care. To her, guidance is service, attention is care, honesty is protection. But to others, it can feel like critique. And that's where the wound forms. What hurts her most isn't disagreement. She can handle being challenged. She can handle being wrong. What she struggles with is having her intentions distorted, being seen as cold when she was trying to help, as critical when she was trying to prevent pain, as uncaring when she was, in fact, paying the closest attention. Because behind every word she speaks is a long internal process: consideration, reflection, moral filtering. When all of that is reduced to a negative assumption, it feels like her inner world has been erased. So over time, she grows quieter, not because she has nothing to say, but because she's tired of being misunderstood. She learns to soften her truths or to hold them back entirely. And beneath that silence, her intentions never change. She still wants to help, still wants to protect, still wants to improve what she touches. And the world just doesn't always know how to recognize a love that speaks through sincerity instead of sentiment. Chapter 4: The Invisible Work They Do That No One Notices. A Virgo woman often becomes a stabilizer without ever being asked. She notices what's about to slip. She senses where tension is building. She steps in early, quietly, so nothing ever collapses loudly. Most people never see it happen. Problems are solved before they announce themselves. Needs are met before they're spoken. Chaos is softened before it spreads. And because the damage never arrives, no one realizes who prevented it. This is the nature of her work. She doesn't announce her efforts. She doesn't catalog her contributions. She adjusts, organizes, plans, cleans, and corrects silently. Not because she wants to disappear, but because to her, service feels instinctive. Things don't need praise, they just need to be right. And so her labor becomes invisible. People assume she's fine because she never complains. They assume she can handle it because she always has. They don't see the cost, the quiet fatigue, the constant vigilance, the mental load of holding everything together so others don't have to. A Virgo woman rarely asks for help, not because she doesn't need it, but because she's learned not to expect it. She doesn't want to burden anyone. She doesn't want to make noise. If something needs to be done, she steps forward. That's who she's always been. But beneath that composure is a quiet longing, not for applause, not for recognition shouted into a room just for someone to notice, to see the effort she never mentions, the exhaustion she keeps folded beneath calm, the weight she carries without ever being asked to lift it. Because a Virgo woman doesn't need to be celebrated, she just wants to be seen for the work that kept everything from falling apart. Chapter 5: The Silence That Ends Everything. When a Virgo woman is hurt, it rarely looks like hurt. There's no eruption, no chaos, no emotional display meant to be seen. Instead, she goes inward, quietly, almost imperceptibly. Her first instinct isn't to react, it's to understand. She retreats into analysis, replaying the moment from every angle: the tone, the timing, the intention beneath the words. People mistake this silence for indifference, but this is where the pain is being processed most deeply. A Virgo woman has spent her life learning how to stay composed. Even when something cuts, she holds herself steady. She looks for patterns, questions her own perception, wonders if she misread the situation or if she could have prevented it altogether. And this is where the damage compounds, because she is far harder on herself than she will ever be on anyone else. She holds herself to standards she doesn't demand from others. She interrogates her own reactions. She dissects her own feelings until they're stripped bare. But confusion never lasts long. Once the pieces fall into place, something inside her locks. Not loudly, not angrily, final. She doesn't chase explanations. She doesn't demand apologies. She doesn't plead to be understood. She detaches with a calm that feels almost unreal to the people watching. And that's the shock, because they never expected someone so loyal, so consistent, so quietly devoted to leave without a scene. The truth is, a Virgo woman doesn't hold grudges. She holds lessons. Her silence becomes clarity. Her pain becomes discernment. And once she understands that her sincerity isn't valued, she doesn't argue her worth. She removes herself with dignity. To outsiders, it looks cold, but to those who know her, it's unmistakable. A Virgo woman doesn't close doors impulsively, but when she does, they don't open the same way again. Chapter 6: The Evolution of a Virgo Woman. From self-sacrifice to self-respect. Time does something important to a Virgo woman. It sharpens her. In her earlier years, she often becomes the one who holds everything together. The responsible one, the steady one, the one who gives more than is noticed and absorbs more than is acknowledged. She learns early how to be useful, how to be reliable, how to be good, and for a long time she mistakes this for virtue. But experience teaches her something that changes the trajectory of her life. Care does not require self-erasure. Goodness does not demand constant availability. This is where the shift begins. As she matures, her morality turns inward, not away from others, but back toward herself. She stops swallowing discomfort to keep the peace, stops softening truths that need to be spoken, stops staying where her energy is quietly drained, not with cruelty, with clarity. Her boundaries become calm, not reactive. Her no becomes clean, not apologetic. And when something doesn't align with her values, her nervous system, her integrity, she walks away without needing to justify it. One of the deepest transformations happens in how she treats her own mind. For years, she learned to endure, to push through stress, to carry exhaustion in silence because she believes she should be able to handle it. Eventually, she realizes something radical. Her peace is sacred, and once she understands that, protecting it becomes non-negotiable. She simplifies, she reduces emotional noise. She chooses solitude not as escape, but as restoration. Rest becomes intentional. Silence becomes medicinal. And by the time she fully arrives in herself, she becomes something rare. A woman who is both deeply compassionate and deeply self-respecting. She knows what she tolerates. She knows what she refuses. She no longer moves according to expectation, only alignment. Her confidence is quiet, her presence is steady, her power is unmistakable. Not because she became someone else, but because she finally stopped abandoning herself to be who the world wanted. Closing. The truth about Virgo women. If you've stayed with me this far, then I'll let you in on a secret. Some of you may remember a long form piece I once shared about the woman a Scorpio man never forgets. What I didn't say outright then, but what becomes obvious once you understand her is that she was a Virgo woman. Not the stereotype, not the polished surface. A Virgo woman who had already been shaped by adversity, who had learned restraint before softness, who knew her worth long before anyone tried to define it for her. The kind of woman who doesn't announce her impact, but leaves it behind. And once you truly see a Virgo woman beyond the efficiency, beyond the composure, beyond the quiet discipline, you begin to understand how deeply human she is. She tries, even when no one notices. She thinks deeply because she cares. She holds herself to standards most people will never recognize, let alone meet. She is misunderstood not because she lacks feeling, but because she feels too much to waste it on performance. Over time, she evolves. She moves from a girl who tries to fix everything around her into a woman who protects what lives inside her. She stops bending, stops over-explaining, stops placing her piece last. And what emerges is something steady, grounded, unshakable, not loud, not demanding, just undeniable. If you've ever loved a Virgo woman, if you are one, or if you simply want to understand one, remember this. She is not defined by her silence, her thinking, or her composure. She is defined by her heart, a heart that wants to do good, to be fair, to choose wisely, and to live with intention. And once a Virgo woman learns to balance that beautiful heart with her own boundaries and self-worth, she becomes unstoppable. Not loud, not dramatic, but quietly, undeniably powerful.